Hey y'all, Kentucky Farmer here, and today I'm back with another game strategies video. This video will be a little bit different. We won't actually even go into Farming Simulator at all for this one. I've already collected all the numbers I need to do the evaluation, and so I'm just going to run over some of the data and some of the results. I had quite a few people asking for more specifics on the costs and profitability of animals or livestock in the game. So I went ahead and collected data for both pigs, sheep, and cows, and did some figuring on the data to get the true cost of everything involved in, operating each one of those segments, and then the profitability of each one and things that can influence that. A couple of things to note before we start here. All this data has been collected on hard mode. Think of it as your worst case scenario. If it's true on hard mode, it'll be a little bit better on medium and a little bit better on easy, right? The next thing to note is that this data was collected after the 1.4.2 patch. It could have been different before the patch. I don't know if any of these things were changed or altered when they patched the game. So this is as of the most recent version. We'll start on this sheet. I've got this overview sheet, and I'll include a link to this document in the video description for anyone who wants to take a look at the data and how I came up with some of the stuff. So we'll take a look at our first animal here, which is pigs. And hopefully I was able to get this text big enough. If not, that's why the video's in HD. Just go ahead and crank the resolution up and let it buffer. For our first animal, pigs, the cost to buy is $3,000 and the sale price is $1,200. This is, of course, assuming that you're going to use a trailer and you'll buy them at the livestock auction and you'll sell them there. Obviously, if you don't, then that changes the numbers because your cost to buy will be $200 more and your sale price will be $200 less. Your daily upkeep for pigs is $30 per day per pig. Every day, a pig will consume 10 liters of water. For the purpose of this, I've figured the cost of water at $0, and so that's assuming that you're going to take your water trailer to a stream and fill it with free water. If you fill it at one of the pumping stations or a water tower, you will then have to pay for the water. You have to take the trailer and drive it anyways to go fill it up. I mean, I think pigs is like the closest to a refill point, and cows are probably the farthest. But for the purpose of this video, on Goldcrest Valley, you shouldn't really be paying for water. Just go get free water. So I didn't include that into the cost. The daily consumption of straw is 20 liters for pigs, and the cost of that is 82 cents per day. Now, the way that I got that number is I figured all of the consumption of a commodity good, so whether it's straw, grass, hay, grain, whatever, is based on an accounting practice that's called the lost opportunity cost, which means that straw may not actually cost me 82 cents a day for 20 liters, but the fact that I couldn't sell that straw was worth 82 cents a day per 20 liters. And I know that because of this data that I collected in a previous video, which is should be titled What's a Good Market Price? And so we can look here, and straw on hard mode, a good market price is $44.21 per ton. And so we just take this price here and we divide it by 1,000, which gets us our liters, because there's 1,000 liters in a ton as far as the game is concerned. And then we multiply that by 20, and that gets us our 82 cents per day per pig. And we can basically do the same thing with food consumption. This equation was a little more complicated. I think I did that over here on this tab. Yeah. So here you can see I was figuring up per different batch sizes of pigs, so 22, 33, 59, 97, 148. You have the liters per pig per day number, and then the food cost for each one of the components, and that's including your corn, your base grain, which is going to be the wheat or the barley, your protein, which is your soybeans, canola. There's one other thing in there, I don't remember what it is. And then your root crop, which is your potatoes and your sugar beets. Let's see here. Sunflower, that's it. So your grains are your wheat and barley, your proteins are your canola, sunflower, soybeans, corn is your base, and then potatoes or sugar beets is your root crop. And so I basically took the cheaper of the two, so I figured sugar beets, corn, canola, and barley, I believe, when coming up with this cost for grain. And then I added all that together to get this number here, which is they're going to consume 90 liters of all of that food combined per pig per day. And the cost of that 90 liters of grain combined is $45.66 per pig per day. So then I also went ahead and did the math on what if you use a feed bag. So if you're buying pig food, that price skyrockets, almost triples to $126 per pig per day. So this is important to know. If you want to do pigs and you want to do them profitably, we'll take a better look at the total numbers here in a minute, but this is kind of a big decision point here. So if you're doing pigs and you're not making very much money and it's frustrating, and you're using feed bags, that's probably why. So you should avoid using feed bags and just use grain. Now, the caveat to that, where I would say you could probably go ahead and get away with it, when you're first getting started and you just got your first trailer load of pigs and they're reproducing and you're very early stages of the game, yeah, go ahead and get a trailer load of feed bags. That's fine. It's at that point, it's such a small number that it's not really a big deal. It's more work and more stress trying to get each one of the grain types, or not just grain, but each one of the feed types, that you're probably initially better off to use the feed. But eventually you're going to want to transition to where you're providing each one of the food components and not buying big bags of feed anymore. So the next thing to figure with pigs is our manure output. So we've got this daily solid manure output of 72 liters per pig per day, which if we were to just sell it, because in the game you can take your manure and you can sell it, there's a couple sale points that accept it, that gets you $3.46 per day. Now, here's where it gets interesting. If you use greenhouses, so there's a placeable object in the game. There's a stock one and a modded one that I'll talk about here. In fact, we'll switch to this tab. So there's the stock greenhouses that cost $25,000 to place. They cost $10 a day to upkeep. If they're empty, if you have no water, no manure, they make $0 per hour. If you put water in them, they make $40 per hour. And if you put manure in them, they make $80 per hour. Now this is on hard, again. If you do this on normal or easy, you make more money. The capacity and the usage, I believe, stays the same, regardless of the difficulty level. So the stock greenhouses hold 2,000 water and they use 22 liters per hour. They hold 3,000 manure and they use 44 liters per hour. And then there's a mod, it's Placeable Greenhouses by Stevie, and I believe there's 5 in the mod pack. It's like, tomatoes, lettuce, cabbage, pumpkins, and cauliflower. I don't know, something else in there. And they're all the same size, they're all the same price, they have all the same upkeep, they have the same income and everything, between the 5. Now, obviously, his differ from the stock ones in the sense that the hourly income is slightly higher on them. So if they're empty, it's still 0. If you just have water in them, you get $50 per hour. And if you have manure, you get $100 per hour, so that's $20 more. The water capacity is increased to 5,000, but the usage rate is still the same. The manure capacity is increased to 5,000, but the usage is still the same. So you wind up having to refill the manure twice for every time that you have to do the water, basically, because the usage rate's double. But you can go longer without having to refill them over the stock ones because they have more storage. So I really do like these, and I'm probably going to start using those instead of the stock ones in my Let's Play series for this. But that was kind of a tangent. The key is that this is a placeable that basically pays you for manure in a sense, right? Because you take manure, you put it in there, and it gives you money. But it's paying you in a way that it's not attached to the market prices, so it'll never fluctuate. It'll always pay you that much money, and it's like a dependable hourly thing. And yes, you have to like take a load of manure over there and fill it up every couple of game days, but it's not that much work for the amount of revenue that you get from it. And so using greenhouses is a really good way to increase the profitability of pigs. And I say increase because they are actually profitable without using greenhouses. They're just not as profitable as they could be. So then we'll look at liquid manure. We get 96 liters per pig per day, which is worth $4.75. It's not worth a lot of money. You're probably better, like I haven't done the math on this, so forgive me, but I would say you're probably better off using this as a fertilizer stage. If you're playing with 3 stages of fertilizer, you're probably better off using this as fertilizer than you would be selling it, because I would imagine that this is cheaper than using a chemical fertilizer. So it just depends on how you play your game. There are some mods that will accept this and convert it to other stuff that may wind up making more money, but I didn't want to go into that. So we'll just leave this as is for now and say that every pig produces $4.75 worth of liquid manure per day. Now this is where the math gets interesting. So with pigs, the repo rate, the reproduction rate, is 1 pig every 24 hours for every 6 pigs that you have. So we already know that we can sell a pig for $1,200, right? So that means that every 1 pig every 24 hours gets you basically 1/6 of that $1,200, which is $200. So every day, 1 pig produces that value for you. Now, that value assumes that you are actually selling the pigs that you're reproducing, and that you're reproducing pigs fast enough that you're making, enough to take a load every day, right? Because if you take a load every 3 days, well, then you're going to lose money, make money, right? And so you got to kind of like even that out. So we'll call this the average daily value, because you may not necessarily see this income every day. It's not like the daily maintenance fee, which you definitely see that every day, and it's not like the income from the greenhouses that you definitely see every day. So that brings our total to $208 worth of income per day, because remember, the only thing that the pigs produce is more pigs, right? That's the only value you see from pigs, is the fact that they reproduce more pigs, and they reproduce relatively quickly. So the biggest chunk of that value that a pig represents is its ability to reproduce and make more pigs, which is worth $200 a day. And then we add to that the $346 for the solid manure and the $475 for the liquid manure, which brings their daily value up to $208. So we have $76 worth of expenses. That's for their food and their straw, which gives us a daily profit of $132. Now, if you use the manure in greenhouses, that profit jumps from $132 per day to $210 per day. So that's a pretty significant increase there for pigs. All right, so now we'll move on to sheep. And sheep are a little bit easier to figure out because their food consumption needs are a little bit simpler. So the cost to buy is $4,000, the sale price is $1,600, and the daily upkeep's $20. It's actually the cheapest of the three. Our water consumption is 15 liters per day per sheep, and again, I figured it at 0 because they're right there next to the river on Gold Crest Valley, so just go get some free water. They don't use straw, so that's easy, and every sheep will eat 36 liters of grass per day, which, again, based on our lost opportunity cost of being able to sell that grass, that was worth $1.90. So then we'll scroll over because they don't produce manure, liquid or solid. So we don't have any data for that, but they do produce wool. So every day, every sheep will make 24 liters of wool, which has a value based on, again, our market price on hard for wool. Our good target price is about $4,000 per ton, which is 1,000 liters. So that would actually be $8,000 per bale, because there's 2,000 liters in every bale or pallet of wool. So that gets us per sheep a daily value of $96.15 in just wool production. Then sheep have a reproduction rate of 40, which is quite a bit less than pigs. And so their reproduction value is only $40. So the wool plus the reproduction value gets us $136 of daily animal income per sheep. And then our daily expenses per sheep, which is our food plus our maintenance fee, is $22, which is pretty nice on sheep because it's by far the lowest of any of the animals. Gives us a daily profit of $114, which is actually the lowest of all the animals also. So, I've seen a lot of people who say that they gave up on pigs and they're doing just sheep because sheep are more profitable. Well, I think where that's coming from is the sheep aren't more profitable, they're easier. Because you just go mow grass and dump grass in there and go fill up your water tank and dump water in there, and then every day or a couple of days, depending on how many you have, you take a load of wool and sell it. Right? That's pretty low drama compared to pigs, where you have to have, tons of corn and, wheat or barley, canola, soybeans, whatever, and potatoes and sugar beets and all that stuff. And you got to transport all the food there. You got to clean up after, well, you got to clean up after everybody, but you got to clean up after them. If you want to make them profitable, you got to be transporting the manure to greenhouses, and you got to be taking loads of pigs to sell them because you got to drive them there in order for it to be profitable. And, so there is a lot of work involved with pigs. But based on the numbers, pigs are more profitable than sheep. So, just to clarify that. And so our last animal then is cows. Our cost to buy is $5,000. Sale price is $2,000. Daily upkeep's 40, which is the most of any of them. Daily water consumption is 35 liters, which is quite a bit. But again, figuring it at 0, get yourself a giant tanker, go fill it up and get free water. Daily straw consumption, 70 liters, quite a bit, which is, $3.14 per day per cow. Food production, we're figuring 70 liters of grass, 175 liters of hay or silage, and 105 liters of power food per day per cow. Which, when you figure up the cost of all of those, and that includes the cost of, I figured up the cost of producing the power food over here, which is made from hay, straw, and silage. So this is the cost to produce 1 ton, and the cost of each component going into that 1 ton of power food. And so one ton of power food costs $123 to make. And so based on that, if you take the cost of the consumption of the grass, the hay, I figured hay and not silage, and then the cost of the power food, every cow is eating $26.80 per day. Now, they produce 200 liters of manure worth $9.61. Unless you're using a greenhouse, then every day that manure production could be worth $227.27 to you, which is huge. Your liquid manure production is $250, which has a daily value of $12.36. Again, like the pigs, this is probably worth more to you in the grand scheme of things if you use it to fertilize your fields than if you take it and sell it. Your daily milk income is $280, which is awesome. The repo rate is 1 cow every 24 hours for every 50 cows that you have. So that represents a $40 value. So your daily income per animal is $342. Your daily expenses is $70, which is oddly enough less than pigs. I was not expecting that when I did this math. I figured the daily expenses would be the highest for cows. And so that puts your daily profit at $272. That's if you don't use greenhouses. If you use greenhouses, your daily profit for cows jumps to $560 per day per cow. That's huge. All right, so there's 2 more things I want to cover in this video. And the next thing I want to talk about is, if cows are so profitable, then why would anyone bother with sheep or pigs? And to me, the reason comes down to this: equipment cost. Equipment for pigs, this to me is the absolute basic stuff, and assuming that you already have the initial starting equipment that comes when you start a new game. So to do pigs at the costs that I'm covering in the sheet here, you're going to need these 4 things. You're going to need the Betamax trailer, which is the livestock trailer, because pigs will cost you $200 more when you buy them, and you'll get $200 less when you sell them if you're not using this. And going back to our profit here, if your daily profit per pig is $132, then losing $200 on a sale of a pig is going to take a big hit into that, right? So, in fact, we can, in theory, the formulas are hooked up that I can just change that. Yeah, so we went from 132 per day per pig to 98. So that took a big hit into our profit by not having that trailer. The next thing on here is the water tanker. So you're going to have a way to go get water to give to the pigs. And then this is the front loader arms and the front loader bucket. You can use the bucket to scoop up the corn that spills outside of the feeding trough to clean up after them. And you'll need it to scoop up manure to put into the greenhouses. So your total equipment cost on top of your starting equipment is going to be $42,900 in order to do pigs. And obviously that doesn't include actually buying the pigs either. Your equipment for sheep and I was going to go up a little bit higher. We start with the same 4 pieces, but then we also add in the Nova Cat, which is the cheapest mower, and then the Euro Boss, which is the cheapest loading wagon. And so that brings your equipment starting cost for sheep up to $82,900. Now, if you're already doing pigs, then it's basically, you spent $40,000 to do the pigs, then you have all this stuff. Now you spend another $40,000 and you can do sheep. So with cows, you're going to need even more equipment. So we basically start with the equipment that we had for doing sheep, and we're going to add in a roll type bale fork for grabbing the rolls, the bales. We're going to add in this Fanuc 604, which is the cheapest header in the game, the Pottinger Top 462, which is the cheapest rake, the Roll Belt 150, which is the cheapest round baler, the Ursus Z586, which is your cheapest round bale wrapper for making silage, your Flegel DPW 180, which is a bale trailer. It's the cheapest, most simple bale trailer that you can put the bales on and transport them around. And the Trailed Line Duo 1214, which is the cheapest power food mixer for making TMR. And so that brings the equipment cost for cows up to $257,000. So it's a pretty significant investment to get into cows. And again, that's just the equipment. You still have to buy your initial batch of cows. That brings me to the last thing that I want to talk about, what is a good, we'll call it herd size, I guess, right? Where's that sweet spot where your reproduction rate really helps, will really help kind of take off, right? And so for pigs, I went ahead and tracked reproduction rate over time based on the number of pigs. And you can really see that there's this is reproduction rate in minutes. And you have this really strong initial drop off, and then it kind of slows. And so right around here and then this is the number of pigs as it starts to climb. So right around here to me is the sweet spot on this, and that's basically at the 300 pig mark. So roughly 300 is what I'm determining to be the ideal herd size for pigs. If we look at sheep, we see pretty much the exact same thing. So when you get into this between 160 and 320 for sheep, that's kind of your ideal herd size as far as reproduction rate. Now, with a herd that big, you're still not really producing that much wool. So at 160, we're looking at not even 2 bales of wool per day. And at 320, we're not quite making 4 bales of wool per day, right? So if you want to take, 1 or more semi-loads of wool per day, well, then you need a pretty big herd of, about 2,500. And then you're really talking a pretty sizable amount. Now, wool production's linear, so the more sheep you have, the more it'll go. And it's just like if I were to graph it, it's just a straight line that goes like that, right? So I didn't include it in the graph for that reason. And now with cows, we see basically the same thing that we saw on sheep, is that your kind of sweet spot here is going to be this 160 to 320 range. So like pigs and sheep, I'm saying basically a herd size of about 300 is pretty ideal as far as reproduction rate is concerned. So when you're looking at investing in any of these 3 livestock types, that's another thing that you'll have to keep into account. Is not only do you have to buy this equipment, but you're also going to have to basically cover the cost of your livestock until you hit that herd size, your target herd size of about 300. And I'm not saying that you need to go out and buy 300. And my test game, a lot of times I only buy, 1 or 2 trailer loads and then just let them reproduce until I get to that ideal number. Now, with pigs, that's pretty easy. With sheep and cows, that's a little more complicated because they reproduce so slowly that you need to get a certain number of them before you hit that tipping point. And that's this chart, right? So if you're still up here, well, then it's going to be really slow. It doesn't start to pick up until you get down here, right? So you will need to buy more sheep and cows than you'll need to buy pigs. And what I've been doing in my Let's Play series is I've got my pig herd up to where I want it. I've got 300 pigs. The trailer holds 42, so I've been letting it get to 384 pigs. I can take 2 trailer loads of pigs, sell them, and then basically buy almost a trailer load of sheep with the money that I get from the pigs. And then I can dump those sheep into my herd to help boost the population, which will help my reproduction rate kind of take off. I can definitely see how there is an advantage to doing the animals in a tier, both with equipment cost and reproduction rate. You start with your pigs, you get them profitable, and then you start dumping that profit into sheep. You get your sheep profitable, start dumping that profit into cows, and once your cows are profitable, then you're like literally rolling in cash. So, all right, with that, I think I'm going to wrap up this video. Hopefully you found this information useful. If you did, would you please give the video a thumbs up? That helps a lot. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe for more farming simulator videos. I'm Kentucky Farmer. Thanks for watching.